These are tonight's top stories. Premier Amory praises government for presentation of balanced budget allocations. Prime Minister Harris announces no new taxes for 2017, and finalists revealed for Sugar Mass 45 Soca Monarch competition. The details on these stories and more when we come back. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Channel 5 newscast. I am Shaira Flanders. Senior Minister and Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Vance Amory, commended Prime Minister Harris and his government for presenting a balanced budget for the next fiscal year. He made the comment during Friday's sitting of the National Assembly.
I do believe as well that this budget as presented was one of the most comprehensive and one of the budgets which, in fact, was very well balanced, presenting as it does the programs and the projections for the next fiscal year for the government, but for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Senior Minister Amory then explained what it meant to present a balanced budget to the people of St. Kitts Nevis. He also added how a surplus can alleviate borrowing.
One of the hallmarks of good governance and good public management is to present a balanced budget to the Assembly and for the people. But not only to present a balanced budget, but to seek to provide surpluses from the recurrent account. And those surpluses can be used then to fuel or to provide for the capital expenditure, which would then limit the need to borrow for capital expenditure.
The next sitting of National Assembly is scheduled for Tuesday, December 13th. Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris announced on Wednesday that for the second consecutive year, there will be no new taxes as part of the budget proposals for 2017. We hear more in this report.
On Wednesday, December 7th, 2016, Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris said that his Team Unity administration will impose no new taxes in 2017. Instead, they will focus on business and job creation, as well as improving people's lives. The National Housing Corporation and the Development Bank of St. Kitts and Nevis will play prominent roles in achieving this end.
We are going to move forward, and when the member for number 8 comes to speak, he will speak about the housing programs. And he will tell you that we will unveil shortly a number of houses, over 300 plus of them in St. Kitts. 50 million over the next couple of years in housing development. And he has dubbed that program the Unity Housing Solutions. A nice name by any measure, because we want them to be developments rather than projects.
Following up on the significant developments in healthcare in 2016, which included the soft opening of the Mental Health Day Treatment Center and the opening of the Oncology Cancer Care Unit at the Joseph and France General Hospital, Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris said that his Team Unity administration will implement universal health insurance coverage in its first term.
These are important new initiatives that are coming from a government that truly cares.
Reporting from in front of government headquarters in Bastille, St. Kitts, I'm Valencia Grant, the press secretary to the Prime Minister.
As Sugar Mass 45 activities continue, the Soca Monarch semi-finals took place on Friday evening. As the fresh face in the competition, Little Miss performed her way to lead the competition with 423 points. She was closely followed by LAX, who scored a total of 422 points. Both artists were separated by a mere point. Takeover followed in third position with 388 points. He was also 1 point ahead of fourth place competitor Shanna. The other power finalists announced were Daddy Tusek, who scored with 372 points, Foxy with 367, and X-Man, who amassed a total of 356 points. Teen singing sensation du jour snagged the top spot in the groovy segment, earning a total of 454 points. He was closely followed by Ruckus H.E., who was second with 451 points. Also in the groovy segment, Shanna placed third with 436. X-Man and KT both tied in fourth position after scoring 433 points. The other groovy finalists announced were Vibes, who earned 414 points, DJ Woodis, who scored 403, and Pinocchio, who gained a total of 402 points. The soca artists will move on to the finals, where they will face defending champs Nature B in the groovy segment and Mr. Hype in the power segment. The Soca Monarch finals are scheduled to take place in Carnival Village on December 24th. After the break, families benefit from Social Services Department's RISE pilot program on Nevis, and Mental Health Day Treatment Center receives positive response. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. 13 single-parent families have benefited and are in better financial situations after 3 years on the Restore, Inspire, Secure and Empower or RISE program on Nevis. Junior Minister in the Ministry of Social Development, Honorable Hazel Brandy Williams, said at a sitting of the Nevis Island Assembly on December 1st that the RISE pilot program is responsible for self-sufficiency of 70% of the 13 families who were involved. She said the program sought to remove persons from the welfare assistance program executed by the Department of Social Services. The participating families were selected for the project. However, she said that the department continues to monitor the families to ensure that they do not revert to their previous situations and continue to implement the lessons learned while on the program. The minister also pointed out that most of the participants had done well and are off the welfare system, and as a result now have more sustainable livelihoods. Officials from numerous sectors and members of the general public say they are pleased with the recent opening of the Mental Health Day Treatment Center at Limekeen. Many of those interviewed were at the official opening on Monday.
I think persons who have relatives who are mentally ill or persons generally would welcome this new center, because it means here is an outlet that persons can be brought to or can utilize on their own to be able to access medical care. And that is something, continued medical care for the mentally ill is very important. And so certainly we applaud this effort.
I think it's a very good gesture. The clients can be cared for, they would be taken off the streets, and they would be shown love, and they would feel appreciated, and they can also learn a skill.
I welcome this important facility because it is one that is so badly needed in the ongoing work that is being carried out in our federation to help those who are in need of mental assistance and, of course, help. We think this facility, which will bring relief, if not 24 hours, at least during the daytime, is a start. And I believe that as people recognize the importance of giving support to mental health, they would use the facilities daily.
Mental health is like a silent disease that a lot of people are not aware of, and this will bring more awareness to that. It's a very good thing to have in the Federation at this time.
Coming up, Guyana's passport application decentralization is picking up pace. Stay tuned. Ghana's Minister of Citizenship says the government's promise to decentralize the passport application process is on the way and is likely to intensify in 2017. HGP's Royden James has the details on that story.
Minister of Citizenship Winston Felix acknowledged that in the first half of 2016, citizens faced appalling challenges to obtain a Guyana passport. He said he will ensure that is not repeated. In contributing to the 2017 budget debate, Minister Felix said the government will keep its promise to the people to decentralize the passport application process.
By decentralization, this government seeks to improve efficiency of the system by allowing the acceptance of applications for passports to be a regional activity, and the completed passports are returned and delivered in the regions, and consequently deliver a higher quality of service to our citizens.
The minister said the process has already started.
In August 2016, one such office was opened in Linden, region number 10, and at the end of November 2016, another was established in New Amsterdam, Borbies, region 6. Other capital towns under consideration are Mabaruma, region number 1, and Bartico, region number 7.
Regions 8 and 9 will be considered for an innovative passport service, the minister relayed. He also said that the systems which are in place to lessen the burden at the central office in Georgetown are expected to undergo upgrades.
Arrangements in place are temporary, allowing for receiving applications and delivery of passports on separate days of the week. This activity is proceeding smoothly. Budgetary allocations have been made to construct 2 permanent structures to be utilized as passport offices, one in New Amsterdam and the other in Linden. The completion of these buildings will accommodate equipment to facilitate first-time applicants being processed, which would be an upgrade of what is happening now.
The government also proposed in the 2017 budget that the visa application process for Guyana visas will go online. Royden James, HGP Nightly News.
Coming up, thousands pleased with the impeachment of South Korea's president. We'll have the details when we come back. Large crowds gathered in South Korea's capital on Saturday to express satisfaction with the impeachment of President Park Geun-hye. Organizers estimate more than 800,000 people are participating in the marches. More in this report.
There was a celebratory mood on the streets as people arrived for the 7th straight Saturday of mass protest. A day earlier, after all, President Park Geun-hye, the woman they've been trying to drive from office, comprehensively lost an impeachment vote in the National Assembly. But there was a serious tone on display as well. For many here, the job is only half done.
Although the president was impeached yesterday, I'm here today because it is important to add pressure on the Constitutional Court, which can reinstate her.
So we love no violence, we love peace. A lot of people in our country, all the people love peaceful demonstration.
That sense was certainly on display. Once again, the tone of this protest was almost serene, ages spanning the generations. There's little doubting that pressure from the streets influenced the politicians' impeachment votes. Also different from what a previous generation of activists went through in 1987 to secure South Korea's first democratic elections.
Well, there's certainly a sense of pride on the streets tonight in what has been achieved by the power of peaceful protest. But there's also a message being sent that the job is not yet done. They want to put pressure on the Constitutional Court to make sure Park Geun-hye is evicted from office.
Park offered an apology in her last act before her powers were suspended on Friday. Her lawyers will now have to fight her case in the Constitutional Court. The allegation that she conspired with her friend Choi Soon-sil to extort money from major businesses and allowed her to meddle in government. The protests have transformed in scale since the first almost impromptu affair 7 weeks ago. Now they're expensive professional productions, and many insist they're far from over.
If we stop now, we will not bring about real changes. I am here today because we must continue to raise our voice until the corrupt politicians, collaborators of the scandal, and President Park are all removed.
It will surely be hard to sustain this level of momentum in the months it could take the Constitutional Court to deliver its verdict, but these festival-like protests have already led to an impeachment. The protesters are used to defying expectations. Harry Fawcett, Al Jazeera, Seoul.
Up next in sports, government to continue upgrading sporting facilities and Michael Phelps to be honored by Sports Illustrated. Stay tuned. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Sports, the Honorable Sean Richards, said he is proud of the record of the Ministry of Sports in developing or refurbishing sporting facilities around the island of St. Kitts. While contributing to the 2017 budget debate on December 8th, Minister Richards highlighted some of the capital projects that have been completed or are on the way. These include constructing a new netball court in Mansion, resurfacing of the Connery football field, construction of a netball court at the Challengers, constructing a basketball court in Boyd's, and the lighting of the new Sandy Point Recreation Ground, to name a few. Some of the ongoing work includes installing football goalposts at Boyd's, along with a pool and a tennis court, laying a tennis court at the new Sandy Point Recreation Ground, and the refurbishment of the tennis court at Warner Park. The Warner Park Cricket Stadium was also refurbished to host a number of international cricket events, including the Caribbean Premier League 2020 or CPL T20 tournament in the summer. Minister Richards said this was good news and added that government will continue to support the development of the sporting infrastructure, invest in athletes, and enhance the sports tourism appeal. Outdoor sports lighting projects are in the works for several facilities, including at Keyon and Tabernacle. This will help to ensure that even more persons across the island can benefit from the value of sports. Although LeBron James is getting Sports Illustrated's Sportsperson of the Year award, Michael Phelps' phenomenal year won't go unrecognized at an event next week that will celebrate both athletes. The recently retired swimmer and most decorated Olympian will get a special honor at Monday's event at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Here's more.
Michael Phelps' whirlwind year is still going. In addition to becoming a new dad, dominating at all of his Olympic events, and getting married, the athlete is set to be honored by Sports Illustrated. The decorated swimmer will be sharing the spotlight with NBA star LeBron James at an event held by the magazine. Phelps will be honored for his amazing accomplishments at the past Summer Olympics. The recently retired swimmer will appear at the event being held at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York.
The World Anti-Doping Agency took a deep dive into Russia's state-run doping system. Here's more.
More than 1,000. That's how many Russian Olympic and Paralympic athletes were involved in a state-run doping system over a 5-year period. This finding comes from an investigation by a Canadian lawyer on behalf of the World Anti-Doping Agency. He called Russia's system an institutional conspiracy. He's the same guy who concluded in July the Russian government had helped athletes use performance-enhancing drugs at previous Olympic Games. This latest report aims to identify how widespread Russia's doping system was and which athletes benefited from it. No names were published in the report, but it did say male DNA was found in the urine samples of 2 female hockey players taken during the Sochi Winter Olympics. Samples from 12 medal winners were also found to have been tampered with in Sochi. And while no Russian athletes tested positive for doping during the London 2012 Games, the report says officials were actually giving athletes a cocktail of drugs whose short detection window evades testing. At least one coach was given a lifetime ban for his involvement in the doping scandal. The president of the International Olympic Committee has said any athlete participating in doping should get a lifetime ban.
And when we come back, we'll have another look at the stories that made the headlines. Recapping tonight's top stories, Premier Amory praises government for presentation of balanced budget allocations. Prime Minister Harris announces no new taxes for 2017, and finalists revealed for Sugar Mass 45 Soca Monarch competition. And that's the end of the ZIZ Channel 5 newscast. Thank you for joining us. I am Shaira Flanders. Have a good one.